And welcome into episode 3 of the Cubbie Climb with Brett Bateman. I'm one of your co-hosts, Blake Cowell, joined by my other co-host, Jacob Zanola, and our third co-host, Brett Bateman himself. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Good.
Another episode. Good to catch up.
Yeah, we've missed a lot. It's been a busy 2 weeks, especially because second episode hadn't been a full 2 weeks of baseball really hadn't started yet, but now we're in the swing of things. We're finally getting in a groove, both minor and Major League Baseball. The teams are getting into their routines and getting rhythms, which has been nice to see on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, good little 2 weeks to finally get in a full swing. That's why I kind of like doing this show every 2 weeks because it gives us a solid meat and potatoes to talk about. And I want to get into first and foremost, Brett, you were making your rounds on social media the other day on the Knoxville Smokies and every which way because you made a defensive highlight. And I kind of wanted to, it kind of is a good precursor to what we're planning on talking about in this episode, which is predominantly defense and how it's affected right now at the major league or the major league team, and then as well as you guys down at the minor league. So we do have the video. So if you are watching on the YouTube, watch this video of Brett hosing this guy at the plate.
Catchers to worry about hitting. The next pitch, that one's flunked out into center field, going to fall in front of Bateman. He's going to have a play at the plate. The throw is strong, and it's going to be in time. They got him. Bateman guns down Bullard at the plate. Stuns the Blue Wahoo's crowd. Waved that Matumbo figure in his face from center field. What a...
I love the umpire's reaction too. Whoever edited that video did a good job. Just a little shaking his head like he had no chance. I wanted to kind of see your perspective of that play. What did you see on the play, and kind of what all went into it mechanically? Like, can you just break that down for us?
Yeah, I mean, first and second, one out. So obviously looking for a ground ball. I think the score was 6-3. They had a really long inning, like 2 innings ago. But all that aside, ball hit up the middle. Pretty good jump, got the ball, and obviously, like, we're trained to throw it home, but keep it low on a liner. And I honestly was surprised the guy went because I picked up the ball and he was like just barely passing third. And I just tried to like kind of keep my arm loose and just let it go and keep it low, make a good throw. And obviously the coach gave him the go sign and, gave a perfect one hop to Opie, who put a great tag on the runner at home. And yeah, I mean, all it comes down to is just like staying loose when you get the ball. Making good throw, keeping it low, preferably a one hop is perfect because then you keep those runners that are at first and second from moving up to second and third. Because if you don't get them out, then you have possibly some third with one out. If you do throw it in air mail, let's say you get them out, they can still move up second and third, and that's 1 run or 2 runs scored on a single potentially rather than one. And you guys know numbers. 2 scoring for the opposite team is a lot worse than 1. So, but when we can keep it to 0 and give yourself a chance, we try and do that. So, just trying to throw the ball, keep it low, stay loose. Because when you tighten up, you tend to tug it a little bit more and just let it fly out of the hand.
Well, and you're known for your defense, and that's something that we've talked about. Blake had the highlights from a few months ago of you in that. I don't remember what field was that. Remember the field with like the big outfield that you made some catches along the wall?
Looked like it was the Minnesota at the
the
Bank
Viking Stadium.
Yeah, I thought it was College. Yeah, but that's something that you've mentioned. Like, you sort of pride yourself on. So I bet it had to be pretty cool, not only to get that play, but then I'm scrolling Instagram and then I'm like, wait, hold on, go back a second. I was like, oh, that's Brett. And it's not just your average highlight. It's a member of the Cubbie Climb. But that was neat to see, and it made its rounds on not just Cubs social media, but a lot of baseball fans around Twitter and Instagram as well.
They're going to start saying known podcaster Brett Bateman with the strike at home plate. Here's some Blake lore for you. I used to play center field in high school before my defense got so atrocious. I was designated hitter before I got relegated to designated hitter. Is throwing, because when I played, throwing to home was always the easiest because it was always straight scoop, one step throw, and like you can kind of fall forward to it. Do you find it the easiest to throw? I guess from outside of second base because it's so much closer. Is throwing to home? Is your mechanics from throwing to home different from throwing to third per se? Or is it same everything mechanically, or is there something different footwork wise, or how you position your shoulders? Or is it as simple as just stepping and throwing to the base?
No, I mean, I would say it's very similar. Throwing to home, throwing to third. Obviously, there may be a little bit of indifference when the wind is playing. Obviously, we were at night there in Pensacola, so it wasn't as windy. Wind had died down, so you can kind of just play it straight. Also, it depends on how the ball comes out of your hand. If you get on top, then you just have to keep it on a line. If you got a little sink or a little run, then you might have to aim a little bit to your right or left. But for the most part, no. Field, you want a quick transfer and then keep it low. Like I said, one hop, even two hops, fine, as long as you get it to your target in the line. And give those cutoff guys a chance to cut it off if a guy keeps running or something. But for the most part, I mean, footwork might be different if you have to turn your body, but that's also again something that's doesn't really change based on where you're throwing it to. So yeah, it mostly stays the same for all those.
Well, and I don't want to move off the defense too fast, but you hadn't really played that much because when we talked last, you were getting a lot of walks, you were getting the hits, you were hot, and then all of a sudden you disappeared from the lineup. If you want to just talk about, how that came up, and then I know you were out for a few games, but then all of a sudden you're right back in it like you had never left, making those good defensive plays. So did you know that there was a chance you could go back down for a few games, or did that come as a surprise?
Yeah, I mean, we were just dealing with some hand and wrist issues like we were earlier in the year with the hamate surgery, and the whole plan was just like missing 3 games in the first month of the year is just not as important as trying to play through it and then getting hurt and missing 2 months, or even longer, especially in a season with 120 plus games. It's not as important. So health is always going to come first, and the plan always was to at least get a few games in towards the end of the week. And like I said, it was kind of like a day by day thing with taking medications and just seeing how it felt, and kind of just going off of that. So for the most part, yeah, it was kind of just the plan was to play that Friday game and then see how it felt the next day, and then play Saturday and then have Sunday off. And obviously we kind of stayed along that track, and always I was still like running and building up during that time. It wasn't like I wasn't doing anything. It was mostly just like swinging because that was kind of the big thing that was affecting it. So playing catch, keeping the arm loose, and obviously that kind of helped a little bit in the throw to home. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, like it's always just trying to maintain, but at the same time, like your health is always going to come first. And if you don't feel like you're ready to play, there's no real reason to push it. Because at the end of the day, like, obviously if you get promoted or something and there comes a chance where you do get to, maybe make a debut roster, you're going to be thanking yourself that, in April you sat an extra 3 days instead of trying to play through it and got hurt. So you're going to like it happens all the time too, even in major leagues too. Like if a guy's got like a hamstring injury or something, and people are like, why is he out? It's probably like, especially if it's like precaution, like a lot of it is precaution. You don't want to, if it doesn't feel good, then what's the point when you're playing in April? Obviously every game matters, but at some point you got to sit back and, look at the big picture and be like, does it really matter? If we just try and rush him back, then he could be out for a month, and that really could affect the team more than just missing 2 or 3 games. So.
Yeah, I had texted Jacob because I noticed you're out of the lineup for like 3 or 4 games, and I was like, something's not right here. And a big gripe with a lot of fans at the major league level is, Taylor McGregor or whoever will tweet a report on the sideline, like, hey, Nico Horner's out today with whatever, or maybe it's some strain, or maybe it's some discomfort, and then it's like 2 weeks, or not so much 2 weeks, but 7 or 8 days, and then it's like, okay, now he's going to the DL. is there, or the IL, whatever it's called now, or do you guys communicate that when the injury happens? So like your injury happens, you start feeling some discomfort. Does your manager then say, well, we're going to play it day by day, and then you're communicating it day by day? Or is it like even when you have off days, like when the week starts, does your manager say, hey, you're going to play these first 3 games, and then we're going to give you a day off? You know, because you're an everyday player with Knoxville. Or is it kind of just like you're thinking in your head every day you're going to play until you raise an issue with the training staff or with your coaches?
Yeah, that's what it was. Actually, I was communicated that Thursday I was going to play, and that Tuesday and Wednesday was going to be off. Then I got to the field and I wasn't in the lineup, and I was kind of like, okay, well, like why am I not playing today? Like I had already mentally, had the whole idea that I was playing. And then the trainers were like, no, we wanted you to have an extra day just to make sure. And, at the end of the day, it's usually with the trainers because they know, and they've kind of dealt with they've dealt with all the injuries, and they're always communicating with not only just the Knoxville staff, but with everyone else, and the head medical training staff that we have for the Cubs is like in the minor league. So they're all making those decisions kind of behind the scenes. And they trust you and with how you feel and talking to them and stuff like that. So I always appreciate that. And they do a great job. And obviously, I feel great. Everything that they told me to do, I did. And, it's helped me get better. So, yeah, I mean, they're like, absolutely, like my whole mentality is I'm coming to the field to play, obviously, unless if I'm told otherwise, either before because I had to have an injury and they're just saying, hey, we're going to give you these next 2 days. Don't worry about it. Then we want you to be back the next. Like that happens. It did happen. See, that was the plan for us last week. You're going to get at least Tuesday, Wednesday off. Plan is Thursday or Friday, to be able to play. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of fluctuates. It really just depends on your situation. Obviously, if you're out for like a week or longer than that, it's going to be a lot different because you have a whole build-up program that you have to hit back, and you got to do all that stuff, like with running or whatever it was, your injury was. But, if it's something that doesn't involve you going on the IL, it's a lot different.
So I have sort of a 2-part question to what you were just referencing. First off, you mentioned sort of ramping yourself up mentally and I assume physically to play Thursday. When you get to the field, first off, do you not know if you're playing like the lineup until you get to the field? I assume, especially based on it today. And then how hard is that to sort of go from I'm playing, like, come on, I'm getting in the zone, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to be on the sidelines again. Does it not really affect you because you know it's for the betterment of your health? Or is it kind of hard to ramp down from that psyche of, being like, I'm ready, it's go time?
Yeah, I mean, so the first part, no, at least here, we don't know the lineup the day before. Usually, like it's different for every club. I like it honestly because as an everyday guy, I guess, I do just like going to the field, not really knowing, I guess, but getting in the field and just being like, yeah, all right. It kind of makes me just make sure that everything that I do off the field is, making me prepared, like creating good routines for me to just always have the mentality that I'm playing. Instead of like being told, hey, you're not playing the next day, and then me staying up till like 4 a.m. playing video games. Like that's not the routine that I would want to have. So there's that part. And then the second part to your question, yeah, I mean, like it. Wait, what was the second part to your question? I totally forgot. I was like
No,
too
that's
busy
it's
like
fine.
trying to.
No, it's fine. Now I'm blanking. I mean, it was about the injury and about like getting ramped up, and it was pretty much just a 1-part question for that one. So I'll move on to the second part because I realized I turned a 2-part into a 3 to 4-part. But we saw, Blake made the analogy to the injured list stuff, which with the Major League Ball Club is a legitimate concern that we see often. Seiya Suzuki had wrist discomfort that he suffered in the series in Sacramento, and then he's out for a few games, he's back for a day, and then it's, hey, he's still bothering him, and then he's back for a few, hey, it's still bothering him. At that point, fans say, why doesn't he just go on the IO for a week or for 2 weeks and just get a fresh bat up here? Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson both dealt with injuries throughout the season last year, but they played through it, and it showed, especially with Nico being in his throwing arm. You could tell defensively it may be different because you're a prospect and you're trying to, you have to be healthy. You don't have that guaranteed spot. But how do you make the barrier of, I'm going to play through some pain because, like, yeah, I can't just sit out if I feel a little twitch, but at the same time, be cautious because you don't want to stunt that growth and, movement through the system.
Yeah, no, I mean that's absolutely a realistic concern. And I actually think that's more of a concern for people that like are toward the ends of their career or like kind of have a questionable spot in the org. Not specifically just for the Cubs, but just for in general. Like it's kind of a ghost analogy of like when you get injured, there's always a guy waiting. Now obviously that's not always the case, but there's I don't remember who it was, but Joe DiMaggio or one of
Yeah.
the Yankees legends, the dude had a headache and he lost his job for the rest of his career. So like he had a headache. Joe DiMaggio or whoever it was got the start because the starter had a headache, and the guy came in and had the starting job for the rest of his career and became a Hall of Famer. So it's kind of like that. So that always kind of eats at the back of your mind of like, if I do get injured for a while, like, are they going to call someone up and then I'm like put on the development list or something like that? But no, I mean, I feel like there are some things where like you're kind of like you can get through it. Maybe you bring it up to the training staff and they're like, okay, like, what do you think? Can you play through it? I've had that conversation a lot. Like if I have some hamstring discomfort or it's my ankle or my arm, and they're just like, hey, can you play through it? And I'm like, yeah, just give me some meds. I'll be fine. Like that's happened many times before, but it's not like they're going to ignore it. They're kind of like, well, we're going to do some exercises for it. You let us know how it feels tomorrow after playing today, or if there's any problems. Like you kind of just tell it to get on the radar just so like they can have they as in like athletic trainers or the medical staff, just to have like a general idea of, kind of what you're working with. If you show some visible discomfort, then while playing, then that's a lot different. And they might say, hey, like you might need a day or something like that. But for the most part, I would just say like, just it does. But I think you got to put your health first. And so that's why you see big leaguers like Seiya and Dansby and all those guys, because like I said, like those small lingering injuries can linger into something that's a lot bigger, and you don't want to be out for a month when all you needed to be out for was a week.
You mentioned the development list. Brandon Hughes was placed on the development list yesterday. Would you mind, not only for the listeners, but I'm also a little, foggy on what that means. When Brandon Hughes got placed on that, I saw a lot of people saying, what does this mean? What does that entail? Would you mind just describing what you know about what the development list is and, what that entails? Because it's a common thing that we see with minor leaguers throughout all the systems in baseball.
I am honestly not quite certain, to be completely honest with you. If I'm, like I said, like what I could be saying is completely wrong. But I think it's kind of like a DFA for the minor league side. Like they kind of put you in Arizona, and then they kind of just hold you to either like for example, like when Miggy last year he went to Arizona, that would be kind of the equivalent. Like maybe it's because you have an injury and they want to send you back just to like maybe rehab something quick, or you have like some sort of like maybe command issues, a pitcher or something, or sometimes it might like maybe for Iowa, I'm not sure exactly. It could be for just like roster spots. I said, it's that's what I think it is. I have no clue, to be completely honest with you, because I haven't been put on it, and two haven't actually like it's pretty rare for people to get put on it, at least like that. I know, like if someone got placed on the DL from Knoxville, I'd be very surprised because we have a lot of very good players that are like, competing for that Iowa spot. So I'd be really surprised if something like that happened. But I'm pretty sure it's just like waiting for an assignment type thing. Not like being released, but kind of just like, we're just going to hold you here for now. Either A, we have a plan for you, like you're going to be here for a while. Someone's maybe going to get moved up soon and you're going to take that dude's spot or something like that.
It just seems sort of like a holding cell without, from how I understand it, I think you described it well, of you're not being demoted, but you're not on the, you're being put to the side for a second. You're being put on hold, but they want you to keep throwing, keep running, keep hitting or whatever. So anyways, just something that I saw a lot of people confused on, and it turns out they're not the only ones, because I'll have to do some more research on that later tonight. But anyways, Blake, I believe you have the next question.
Yeah, I just wanted to move it along a little bit because we talked about you. We talked about where you're at, where your health, and hopefully this week as the Trash Pandas come to town, we'll get some more highlights and get you on Instagram some more. And my clips will be coming along too. So, but moving on to a little bit what the major league team's been doing and kind of keeping the same theme of defense. The Cubs are playing very well. There's not a lot that you can really bitch about when it comes to the major league team. But one thing that is killing the team is the third base situation. We talked about Matt Shaw 2 weeks ago and his struggles. And then it was a couple days after he was demoted to AAA, and now he's crushing AAA again. But at the major league level, the defensive errors at third base are becoming a problem. And we saw Gage Workman get DFA'd. We saw Vidal Brujan make it. I don't think it actually went down as an error last night, but it's a play that has to be made at the major league level. We've seen John Birdie make some mistakes. The hole at third base is the same thing that's plaguing the team that it did last season. So I made the tweet. I said, what about giving Jonathan Long a shot over at third base? You played with Jonathan Long, I think, last year at AA or last year at Myrtle Beach.
Yep. AA, and we were both in roommates in South Bend, and then we both met back up in Knoxville, AA, yeah. And Myrtle Beach, we were there together too.
So, verbal meme, you are familiar with his game. Shout out Shaquille O'Neal. So, a lot of people were commenting, hey, nope, not going to work. He doesn't play third base. He can't do it, blah, 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 blah. And then I had some other people contradicting, say, no, actually, he can. Can you kind of, and does he go by Johnny or Jonathan? I don't want to miss.
Just Johnny.
Okay, Johnny. Can you kind of just talk about Johnny's game and what do you think he could do at third base? I mean, do you think that's a viable option? I know you're not gonna say no about your boy, but a lot of people weren't having it. And I said, would you rather see Vidal Brujan play third base or give a guy who right now is crushing it at AAA? He's OPSing like 860, batting 338. Like, if he's not going to get the shot now, then it's like, when are you ready to give him the shot? Can you kind of speak on his game and prop your boy up here for us? Get on my side of Twitter here.
I mean, he's played third. He played third in Knoxville. He played third in South Bend. He's a good defender there. The thing he always tells me is that he doesn't believe his arm is strong enough, and that is a realistic thing at third base. But he's got the glove. I mean, I've seen him make diving plays at third. I've seen him make diving plays at first. And if you can do it at first, I believe that you can do it at third. And at some point, the way that he's been hitting, I mean, I think he's knocking on the door. And he can do it. I believe he can. I mean, I've seen him do it. I've seen him make a lot of very difficult plays before. And I would absolutely love to see my boy get called up to start playing third base. I think if I told him that, like, during spring training that he'd be called up third base, he'd probably say I'm joking and then walk away from me. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him do it. I believe that he could. And like I said, I've seen him do it. So for the people that don't believe me, you can go ahead and look it up. That he's played third base before.
Learn ball.
And yeah, he's done it. Obviously, he's only playing first for Iowa, but that's kind of their position of need. At least that's what it was, because we don't have Mervis anymore, who's absolutely crushing it, by the way. Good for him.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, they don't have a first baseman, so he's been slotted there. But I'm sure that if they had someone, he would be more than comfortable playing third base.
Well, and not only that, but it wouldn't hurt to have another first baseman on the team, especially with the longevity of Justin Turner on this roster is definitely in question with his hitting struggles. Yeah, he's 40 years old. The bat speed has declined greatly. You mentioned the arm strength of Johnny Long, and I understand how that's a concern, but also you look at some of the other guys that the Cubs have thrown out there, it doesn't seem to be at the top of the priority when you have Nick Madrigal running a marathon before he throws over to first. That was in a time of desperate need, but also if he can make some plays, be an average defender, I really don't think the defense needs to be the key here, because as Blake said, the guys we have right now, Vidal Brujan and John Birdie, are not great defensively. Birdie's good, but he's definitely struggled and shown some signs of weakness. So even if we can keep that same level of defensive mediocrity, but then if you can hit better than them, which Johnny can, I mean, like Blake said, he is killing it in AAA, then you automatically have that boost offensively. And that offensive boost can be 3x the maybe one run lost here or there defensively. And I know that you've said, and other people I've talked to, it's been like, he seems like a good dude. Like, he seems like a really funny guy that would be fun to have in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I don't know how he'd. I mean, when we were in big league camp, he kind of, sticked around with our posse of little leaguers of like me, Shaw, Gage at the time, Triantos, Owen Casey. And I think it'd be really interesting just to hear his stories of how he would fit in with, a pretty older, like more veteran group, and like Dansby, Nico Horner, Kyle Tucker. But it's not like he would be an unfamiliar face to them. Obviously, he was with the big league club and he played almost like a lot of games in spring training. So he's got his foot in the door. And I know I would have a lot of great stories from him if he did get that call up. So I'd be pretty excited.
Yeah, it was something I tossed out there, and the backlash, like, really, it surprised me because, as fans, and especially as Cubs fans, as we've kind of seen in this last 3-year rebuild of these older faces come through, and it's not good enough. For fans, it's obviously way more exciting to see the young name come up and see what they can do. Like we saw last year with Matt Mervis, and unfortunately didn't do enough of his opportunities with the Cubs, and now he's getting another set of opportunities with the Marlins, and like you said, he's crushing it. But at least we got that chance to see, like, would you rather see Matt Mervis or Eric Hosmer? Like that's like kind of the position that Cubs fans have been in for a while. And when you throw a name out there like Johnny Long and you see the backlash of, no, we'd rather watch Brujan and John Birdie, I wanted to hear your opinion on it. Talking about another minor leaguer that's also been crushing it, Mo Baller. Moises Ballesteros, absolutely killing it. I posted a video at spring training about him taking batting practice, and one thing that just surprised me was just he can go to every single field, and it's just not a problem. It's pull side, he's taking it there. Pitch away, he's taking it to the other field. I called him one of the most pure hitters in the Cubs system, just because going to all fields, I think he can hit to a lot of power to the opposite field. Just because I haven't watched enough Iowa Cubs games, I really don't know. But it kind of just he's crushing it. But the only problem is I don't know if he has a spot to play on this team yet. Have you played with Ballesteros at any level yet?
I've not gotten the opportunity to play with him. He's always been just like one level higher than me. It seems like he gets promoted, I get promoted, he gets promoted, I get promoted. So, but obviously I was around him during big league camp, this spring training. So I did get to see him just a little bit before obviously I got injured and was unable to participate.
Well, he does seem to be kind of the next guy up. Shaw he's been getting in a rhythm. He's been getting hot. I know it's been a big discourse on especially Cubs Twitter about the leg kick. I know we talked about it last episode. I'm going to bring it up again because the people won't stop mentioning the leg kick.
I've defended the leg kicks, and not to cut you off, like anytime I see someone change the leg kick, I'm like, dude, Brett said it's not a problem. So guess what? It's not a problem. Like, hate to be that guy, but like, listen to the Cubbie climb and learn some ball because he's not changing it.
Well, and that's the thing is, if he's been that successful, if you found a reason that you are successful throughout the minor leagues, I'm not saying that he will never change any of it, but it seemed to be the confidence. He talked about it. We talked about it on the rant the other week about how he was getting behind in the count too often. And you look up, it's already 0-1. Okay. And his confidence seemed to be taking a hit. I believe it was Tommy Birch of the Des Moines Register. And if it was someone else, then I apologize for not giving correct credit. But they were like, he's killing it. And it seems like his confidence is back. That's the thing that he seemed overmatched. And as I mentioned last episode, with the pitchers he was facing, it's hard not to. But he's been killing it. It's only a matter of time until he's back in the majors. But other than him, you look at that AAA roster. You have so many good guys on that roster. Like, that's one of the best minor league teams in baseball, in the history of baseball, I would say. You have like 6 top 100 prospects. You have Kevin Alcantara, who is, I mean, just the Jaguar. I think that encapsulates him perfectly. But aside from Johnny Long, you have Ballesteros, who, well, if he can catch, is sort of up in the air. Fans seem to think no. Scouts seem to be a little iffy. Rachel Folden, the AAA hitting coach, said, yes, he can catch. I'm going to trust her over fans. I'm going to trust her over myself as well. But you can play him. I believe he's played some first. He can DH. He can catch. So that gives him 3 opportunities. If, obviously not hoping for an injury in any way, because we need these guys in the lineup because the Cubs are killing it. But you have Michael Busch or Justin Turner. You have Seiya Suzuki, or you have Amaya or Kelly. If any of them go down, whenever they have to sit for a day because they're hurt, the first name mentioned, Ballesteros better get ready. So he seems to, well, Long has his foot in the door. Ballesteros is knocking at that window and like they're getting ready to open it. And his stats, I pulled up his stats in AAA this year, 1.061 OPS. He only has 2 home runs, which may be even more impressive that he's not just hitting home runs. Like, he's a bigger guy and he's just slapping it all over the field. And he's only 21. He's only 21 and he's already one of the, you mentioned, Blake, one of the best pure hitters in the Cubs system. I'd argue he's one of the best hitters in minor league baseball. The dude can rake. It's just the defensive liability. But watching his highlights, I mean, he's been on a tear. It's just, he's getting on base every game. It's incredible.
He's him.
13-game hitting streak.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do.
It's amazing to watch. Well, I saw Kyle Schwarber. I don't want to go off from Ballesteros too bad, but Kyle Schwarber has been on base 34 straight games, which is just insane. He got on base once yesterday with a walk in like the 8th to extend that streak, but still, just thinking about going, you can relate to this more, like going to the yard every day and being like, the last month I've been on base at least once. Like, that is so impressive. I won't get into the fact that we let him go, but him and Ballesteros, both very good hitters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that was kind of it for our show notes of talking baseball wise. But I do want to bring this up because although we are all Cubs fans and one of us is employed by the team, we do have a rivalry when it comes to football. And the NFL draft just happened, and I want to see your take on where Mr. Quessy is taking the Vikings, because I don't know if you saw what the Bears did, but I love that Luther Burden Pickett too. I'm from Missouri, so seeing a Mizzou guy. I didn't go to Mizzou, I went to Mizzou State, but Bears drafted some dudes. I wanted to see what you thought about the Vikings weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty good. My favorite pick, well, I don't remember his name, but the wide receiver that we got from Maryland in our 3rd round pick. I'm a Gopher fan, so I watched that dude absolutely destroy us when they played us.
Felton.
And
Felton, yeah,
he's unbelievable, dude. And when I saw him pick that, I was like kind of scared because it made me think, oh, we might be getting rid of Addison, because obviously there's a little bit of that history of Addison, being a little bit upset of, maybe not getting the ball. His father on Twitter always being like, oh, throw him the ball more, which I don't blame. Like, I mean, the dude is an unbelievable talent. Like, in my opinion, he's top 3 wide receiver 2s in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, that was a great draft. Our first overall pick was offensive guard, which I'm totally cool with too, because the NFL is literally a O-line league at this point. If your O-line sucks, your team sucks. I'm just like being completely honest with you. If you literally look at it, the teams that are really good have a really good offensive line. The Chiefs and the Eagles, they literally have unbelievable offensive lines, so they can do whatever the heck they want. That's what the league is turning into, because you just give your quarterbacks an extra second to make a decision. Now, with how talented not only wide receivers are, but running backs are, or whatever, that's just what it's turning into. So I like the draft. I think Quessy cooked, as he always does, and I always trust his decisions. We also traded for Sam Howell from the Seahawks.
Yes.
QB. If you got 2 QBs, you ain't got 1 though. So who's the guy?
It's guy? JJ. I pray that it's JJ. Here's the thing though, they might have something going on. They might have something going on where they create Sam Howell to be the next Sam Darnold, and then we trade him away, and then we get even more stuff out of it. Because you know what, I'll tell you, for some reason, we love taking 1-year quarterbacks and turning them into great players and then getting rid of them. Case Keenum was an example of that. Obviously, Sam Darnold was an example of that. So I'd be more than willing to maybe make that happen. And Kirk Cousins,
Aaron Rodgers is out there.
No.
I mean, come on.
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was an example of that, and we got rid of him. And unfortunately, it wasn't that I love Kirk Cousins, but he's obviously got outplayed by Michael Penix Jr. So we can talk about that another time. But yeah, we have a pretty good history of figuring out somehow how to make quarterbacks work, and then we play in the playoffs, and we don't know how to play football. So we'll figure out that line when we get there. But that's what I just gotta say about my Vikings for the draft.
Well, if you need a QB, I mean, Shedeur Sanders was there for what it ended up being 6 rounds. I mean, that was incredible. That was crazy. It was insane.
Hey, I had Shedeur to the Browns. I had the bet placed. Didn't happen in the first round like I thought it would, but hey, a bet's a bet. Cashed in the 5th round. Cashed on the 3rd day. I'll take it.
That's going to be interesting because they have 5 quarterbacks, and obviously they took Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur. So they obviously see more in Dylan Gabriel than Shedeur right now. But now Shadeur's in there looking at the room, being like, not he has the utmost confidence in himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure of it. So he's probably looking at the room like, I can do it. Obviously Deshaun Watson is the number 1 guy there, but like Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe Flacco, I'm not saying he should be retired because he actually played pretty well for the Colts last year. He had a few really good games where it was just like, man, is he just always going to be this good for another 5 years, where they just be like, yeah, you know what, Joe, just go out there, toss 5 tutties and 300 yards and then just call it a day or something. So, and then they obviously, like I said, have Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. So it'll be pretty interesting how that room all shakes up in camp and into the season.
We need a Hard Knocks. We need a Hard Knocks of that.
I would love to see a Hard Knocks of that QB room because, like I said, you've got a bunch of like random dudes in there, like Deshaun Watson, like Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel. Like, who would have thought last year, like, oh yeah, they're gonna have Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Deshaun Watson in their quarterback room. Like,
it's an auto draft. At this rate, it's just an auto draft. They left in an auto draft and they accidentally drafted, and now they have 5 QBs that I don't really think there's a clear winner there, because you have Dylan Gabriel, who you did choose first, but then you look at their social media feed and it's all Sanders, and Gabriel's gonna be like, dude, you picked me 3 rounds ahead of him. What are you talking about? But obviously they know that Sanders will get the picks. But
well, that is the one thing that I have a problem with, is like the whole draft coverage was about Shedeur Sanders. Not saying that he isn't good or that he isn't the top prospect or whatever for the draft, but like Cam Ward was taken number 1, and I felt like I saw more posts about Shedeur Sanders than Cam Ward. And I was like, what are we doing? Like the dude got picked 1. He was 0 stars out of high school, like had 1 offer, went to like some random college, went to Miami for 1 year, had 1 year to prove it all because he had no more eligibility, proved it all, and was number 1. And we're not talking about that story. We're talking about how Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted in the first 3 rounds, which is cool. I get it. Like that's a big topic. Like, he definitely probably should have gone earlier. He definitely should have got earlier. Not even probably. I don't know what he was doing in those interviews, but
apparently nothing good.
Aside, he should have been picked earlier. So I don't know. I mean, it's that is the one problem that I have. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Cam Ward's probably the least talked about number 1 overall pick, because they didn't show anything of him after he got picked. It's like, okay, cool. And now we're going to move immediately to Travis Hunter, who it's incredible what he's doing. And then after that, it's just, let's have Mel talk about Sanders for the next 3 days, and just over and over and over. And let's just publicly bash the NFL.
Absurd. Yeah.
It was insane. I'm okay. I like the Bears draft. I mean, I was kind of wanting Tyler Warren, but there's been multiple reports. I'm not a football genius or a football guru. I watch the games. I keep up with the team. But if someone says I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong. And they said they liked our pick. We got obviously a tight end. We waited till the very last round for a running back, which was disappointing because I was all on the trade up for Janty train. but that did not come to fruition. That'll be a fun. The Raiders team could be fun. I mean, I think there's some potential there with him and Bowers.
Sneaky. Him, Bowers, Jacoby Myers is legit. He's a legit wide receiver one. I mean, obviously the whole quarterback situation didn't really give him a lot of chances last year, but now they have Geno Smith. So, something could shake there. And I think the Raiders are a little bit of a underrated watch because they had a solid defense last year too. Like that was the best part of their team was their defense. Their offense just was a question mark because they didn't have a great running back. I think they had who'd they have? Who's a Vikings guy?
It was Alexander Madison split carries with Zahir White, and there was a third back they had for a while. I'm a big fantasy guy, so you got to know who's injured and who's not. But yeah, and Alexander Madison
now too.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting backfield. But that's all I had for this episode. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to talk about, we got our live Twitter show coming up soon, and we're gonna roll with that. And Brett, you're more than welcome to join, but if not, no worries. But yeah, thank you for everyone for listening. Cubbie Climb coming out. It should be out tomorrow, or I guess when you're listening, it's already come out. But follow us, follow Cubs Insider, Blake Kyle X on X, Blake Kyle X on all platforms, and whatever you guys got to plug, go ahead.
Yeah, I at Jacobs on everything. Posted a lot about not only baseball but basketball. Rockets tough series. I'll be watching that after the space tonight, so you'll get my awful basketball input as well. But no, just like I said, follow Cubs Insider. We got a bunch of good edits. Blake is still killing it on the editing, so props to him. Follow Cubs Insider on all of those, and yeah, go out and check out the Knoxville Smokies if you're in the area. Start yelling at Brett while he's in the game. Yell about the Cubbie Climb. See if you can get a little nod and show them that the supporters are there. But we appreciate you guys all for listening. It's been a blast with 3 episodes. Can't wait for many more.
Last thing I got, Cubbie Climb, Cubs time, T-Wolves in 5.
I hate it. I knew where that was going immediately. I knew where that was going.
T-Wolves, baby. Quit sleeping on the T-Wolves, man. Anthony
I'm an
Edwards,
Ant-Man.
dog. He's that dog.
Ant-Man's that who I forgot.
Is that who you have? I know we were about to end it, but is that who you have? Like, who's winning the championship? We're almost a series in. Thunder. I don't think the Thunder can be stopped.
I think the Cavs are being the absolute crap right now out of Miami as we speak. I think the score when I checked was 40. Yeah, the Cavs are up 40 points right now at half. So Cavs look really good. Celtics are really questionable. They have a lot of injuries with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Both, battling a lot of injuries, like I said. But I really, really like the Cavs, man. They're just playing good ball. Max Strus, Ty Jerome, Dean Wade. I mean, they have the deepest team right now in the NBA, in my opinion. I'm never gonna say no to my Timberwolves, but I actually think the Clippers are a really sneaky dark horse. Yeah. They're playing a really good basketball right now, and they're playing against a very good team in the Nuggets. Obviously, the whole front office stuff going on with the Nuggets is probably playing a little bit of a screw there. It's one of the craziest fires I've ever seen in my life, but we don't need to get into that as much. But yeah, I really like the Clippers too. So, but yeah, the Cavs from the East, Thunder from the West. I don't know. I don't want it to be an eyewash 1-1, but it's kind of hard not to pick them because they've just been so good all year.
Steph Curry and Jay Butt.
I'm tired of. I'm a Rockets fan.
The Curry fifth ring the Curry fifth ring would feed generations. I'm not a LeBron guy. Give me Curry and give me a Curry fifth ring.
He hits any shot he wants. He hits any shot he wants.
Yeah, he would actually be in the debate of the actual GOAT. Like, honestly, I actually could see him being in the debate for the GOAT if he does win his fifth ring here. Like, he could be. Like, I mean, this would be the year of, like, oh, he's always had really good players alongside of him, to win the championship. Well,
he doesn't.
Like, you got Gui Santos getting legit minutes and Quinton Post getting legit minutes. I did not even know who these guys were until this year, and they're still winning. So obviously, and Steve Kerr, also one of the greatest coaches of all time, if they do win that, because like I said, being able to win against this talented Houston Rockets team, although they are young, their bench is very young, Tyrese and Jabari Smith, But still, like on paper, it should not be this close.
No, you triple team Steph, and I still don't think it would matter. Every time I look up, he could shoot it from full court, and it doesn't matter if you have all 5 guys on him. He's going to make it. Anyways, that was episode 3 of the Cubbie Climb. Appreciate you guys listening. We will see you next time.